Wait,
couldn't
what did Bob
possibly.
Barker get up to?
Well, there
I
was a
don't
lot
think
of
it was a.
models on that show.
Yeah, I don't think it was a great place to be one of the
My
ladies'
God.
Yeah.
products. What?
Damn, they really cleaned up that man's reputation well because I was not aware of any of that.
I feel like it was pretty early that all that came out, and then he had just kind of disappeared. Although they're not letting him be in the sequel to Happy Gilmore.
Because
Well, he died, but I mean,
Yeah.
But they made a point of saying that even if he were
yeah.
alive, he would not have been invited. Just have to avoid the awkward conversation. Like, we're just gonna wait till Barker's dead. Welcome to the Quicksand Club podcast, the podcast where we discuss every subject worth discussing, one at a time. I'm Spencer Bainbridge, joined by.
Zach Johnson.
Play Rice.
and Corinne Santoro.
This is our very first episode, and our subject this time is dreams and nightmares.
It's like a cliche that listening to other people's dreams is boring, but I've never found that to be true. There's this dream app that my friend told me about that's like it really it purports to just be a dream journal for your phone, but what you don't realize is that there's another button at the bottom that lets you read everyone else's dream journals in real time. So uh, it doesn't get a ton of traffic anymore, but it was pretty good source of novelty 10 years ago. You could just flip through and
Oh, that is
read about. I
fabulous.
remember one in particular about the title of it was "Goat with Huge Nut Sack," spelled SAC.
Does anyone have a particularly weird recurring dream that they want to share?
There's this building, right? And I'm in the building and it's a big building. You know how skyscrapers sometimes sway? You know how they're like built to
Mhm.
kind of sway?
Right.
Well, I have this recurring dream where I'm at the top of the skyscraper and it swings so much that like you're like almost upside down. And then this one time, because I'd been there many a times, it's a recurring dream. So anyway, this one time, I'm like, oh, I'm in that building again. All right, what do we do? Oh, there's a swimming pool. I gotta jump into the swimming pool, but somehow I missed.
No, I've had similar dreams. I have a lot of, they're like Escher paintings where there's a staircase and I have to go up it to get to the top of the building, but it goes nowhere. And like
Mm.
I have to like crawl over the banister to get over to the next staircase that goes up a different way, or it just gets smaller and smaller at the top until like I'm at the ceiling and I'm sort of trapped. Or where I'm walking down a street and then the building is falling on top of me, and but very slowly, and I have to like crawl under the building to get to the other side of the street.
That's a classic subgenre of dreams is the I need to get the thing, but the thing cannot be gotten or it keeps getting farther away from me. You have dreams like that too. Like it's
Yeah.
like I need to go upstairs or I need to go to the store and it keeps getting farther away.
I very frequently have dreams that I'm trying to text someone something very innocuous, but the autocorrect keeps thwarting me, and I get angrier and angrier at the iPhone keyboard.
Another dream subgenre is trying to remember a password and losing your mind over it. That has happened to me a few times recently where my whole dream was just which password is it for this website? And then I lose it.
I feel like a lot of dream tropes, for me at least, suggest that like you're reliving moments of childhood shame. I have a lot of dreams about like finding a library book that's been overdue since and just like I don't really understand. Like I wouldn't care if that happened in real life. Like they would understand. It's not like they're going to charge me $40 million in late fees for this book. But I think just like as a kid, that was one of the first times I like, oh yeah, I just failed. Like this, I screwed up. This is entirely my
Mm.
fault. I should have known better.
Mm.
This is apparently going to haunt me the rest of my life. Apparently, everyone has the dream about, oh, there's a test today and I just haven't showed up to the class
Yeah.
ever. And
Yeah.
like that has never happened to anyone in real life. Why would that happen to you? Why would you show up on the last day if you hadn't taken the class? Like
I
you
don't know, like
wouldn't go.
really depressed people. I was like a lot of me senior year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I think I skipped just about every other class, but I'm gonna show up for the test.
Forgetting your locker combination.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
Oh yes,
like the
yes.
password. Your website password is just the modern day version of that.
I've
Essentially,
had
yes.
Mm,
I've
true.
had more than a few jobs where you have to where your schedule doesn't come out until like the week before, the day before you start that schedule. So, like a restaurant or any of my retail jobs. And those are the dreams that feel like that test dream, where it's like, oh, I didn't know. I actually have been working at Old Navy for the past 20 years
Yeah.
and I just haven't shown up for my shifts. And now I'm here and they're like, well, you'd better get to folding these shirts. And I'm like, yep, obviously that has to happen. And it like, or I need to show up at the diner I used to work at and they're like, where have you been this whole time? And I'm like, I don't know, but give me that apron. Let's start handing out Cokes. Like that
Your
is,
real life is a dream that you had while you fell asleep on the clock at Old Navy.
yeah.
The whole series in the finale was revealed to be Claire's dream. So you didn't work a single shift all those 20 years at Old Navy, but you did use the employee discount, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Probably.
Mm.
of
My
course
dream
you would.
self is very, very frugal.
Mine is mine is I'm still a high schooler, but I'm 32, like I still age and I'm just like, yeah.
Do you guys think that people who have never been to school have nightmares that they go to school and don't know what school is? Do you think that's their version of that dream?
Okay, so I was gonna bring because this is one of my nuttiest dreams. So when I was in middle school, I think I had one of my very first sex dreams. I wasn't having sex in this dream. I was walking through a very fancy castle that had one of those black and white checkerboard floors. And as I'm turning, and like, but it was also like floaty. Like, it's like all the 80s movies where it's like, this is a dream. You're in a place where columns are floating for no reason.
This is a
And
Bonnie Tyler music video.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And at the top of one of those columns was a very famous actor, Jack Nicholson,
Uh,
who was on his back rocking as he was blowing himself. And and also there were clouds and we were all just, and I mean we by like anybody who happened to be passing through, like just sort of in this like buoyant anti-gravity space. Like he was like an art piece in this like weird anti-gravity museum while he was pleasuring himself. And it was definitely Jack Nicholson, and it was 1990s Jack Nicholson. Like it wasn't like Cuckoo's Nest. It was
A
as
few
good
good
as it
men.
gets.
Okay, I see. Oh, even more horrifying. So you and Jack
I saw
Nicholson.
on TMZ that he had one of his ribs removed surgically so that he could appear in that.
You see, that's weird because I heard that Jack Nicholson was the kid from the Wonder Years. That's so weird. Well, Claire, you and Jack Nicholson have exactly one thing in common. You both dream about him being able to blow himself. So
100%.
that's
100%.
there's something. God, that's bizarre. You didn't so much dream about having sex, you dreamed that sex existed and that Jack Nicholson was involved.
Yes, yes. I mean, and that wasn't like my very first sex dream. Like, but that was like that was like definitely a sex act was happening. My first sex dream was just like it just everything felt sexy. Like it was just like I was sitting under a tree minding my own business when a man who looked like a G.I. Joe action figure came up to me and just like barely opened his shirt. And I got so anxious in the dream, I crawled up the tree. I've
What do
always
you think the
counted that.
tree represents?
Yeah.
Could the tree have represented? Probably, I don't know, my mother. I don't I mean,
Was it a big tree?
it was a big tree. It was a
Would
big
you
tree. It
would
was,
you call it girthy?
we call it round and heavy and upright.
Oh man, I had crazy dreams last night. I was scampering up logs all night, if you know what I'm talking about. And humans aren't the only ones who dream. Animals dream. The dogs can dream. Anyone who has a dog can tell you they've seen their dog dream. Do you think dogs can't dream about the same things that we do, right?
They're not like in class with their pants, but they forgot their pants. I feel like that's truly universal.
They're in
No, but
obedience school, but they forgot all the commands.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
I'm trying to get to the ball, but the ball keeps getting farther away. Oh no, that ball keeps getting farther away. I gotta get it. Ah, and they wake up.
He threw it, but it's not there. He threw it, but it's not there. What's going on? Oh,
Endlessly
his arm
digging.
move.
One of these holes has the bone. One of these holes has the bone.
It was my human, but it was also my mom, but it wasn't.
This podcast is brought to you by Productivia, FDA approved to make you more productive in your sleep. Everyone needs time to rest and recharge. Sleep is essential to all of us, whether you're young, old, or even a foreigner. But did you ever worry that while you were spending all that time sleeping, you could have been more productive? Productivia stimulates muscles while you sleep, giving you satisfying rest while allowing you to take care of all those things you failed to do during the day. Filing your tax return, cleaning out the gutters, finishing that Halloween costume for your little superhero. Now you can do all this and more in a lumbering fugue state not unlike sleepwalking. Productivia isn't for everyone. Side effects include skin dryness, foot sweats, thoughts of assassinating your neighbors, and finger erosion. It seems like there just aren't enough hours in the day, but with Productivia, you can say goodnight to precious time wasted in bed. Ask your doctor about Productivia, because if you're not getting things done, what good are you?
I wonder if the reason the ancient Greeks studied dreams it was because that was the only interesting thing that ever happened before there were movies and podcasts and stuff. They just didn't have anything to talk about except their crazy brain stories.
Hey, to
Dude,
see
yes.
that reminds me of something my brother once talked about. He texted me one time one late at night and he was like, "What did nerds do before comic books and movies?" Because there had to have been that personality type. Like
Mhm.
what did like pre-modern media age nerds do? Was it just like obscure etchings? Like what were they into?
There
What
was
We're
did they
a
probably
obsess over?
like discovering shit outside. They're
yeah, I
probably
saw a
like
tweet that was
adventurers.
that was yeah, like now like the guy who's like obsessively editing this one Wikipedia article about Pokemon, like if he'd been born 200 years ago, he would have cataloged every beetle on his continent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the only reason we know anything is because that guy had to do something productive then.
Dude, that's how we like, don't you don't you yearn for that kind of free time? Like, wouldn't that be cool?
I remember
Mm-mm.
at some point after high school getting excited about the idea of dream interpretation. And so I bought a few books about dream interpretation and I read all of them. And I immediately was like, well, this is just nonsense. There's
Mm,
too many different, I guess it's sort of like parenting books. Like you can find one that says anything.
yeah.
Like just leave your kid outside, they'll be fine.
Freud said that every dream can be broken down into like different like base psyche truths, and they are I wanna kill my dad and I wanna Oedipus, and that's what he said apparently.
There are just two.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just like, Freud, sounds like you wanted to kill your dad and fuck your mom. Like, don't put that on me. You know what I mean?
Leave it to the Germans to use Oedipus as a verb. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to Oedipus. I'm going to
I
Oedipus'
guess
blonde.
to be fair, about half my dreams are about fucking Sigmund Freud's mom. But Jung also sort of suggested that there were these undercurrents, like these conceptual undercurrents that kind of existed outside of any individual person, right? That we were tapping into in dreams. And that gets a little too mystical for my
Yeah.
tastes, I think. I
Hmm.
don't know. What do
Mm,
you think dreams are?
Well, there's one theory that I thought was interesting, which is that it's like your brain. I'm going to explain this in the dumbest, most layman way, but it's like because that's who I am and that's what I do. Uh, that it's like your brain organizing all of the things you took in that day, and sometimes the process is more organized and literal, and that's why some dreams make more sense than others, and sometimes it goes a little wacky, and it's just your brain is like randomly pulling up like cue cards out of order, and that's why it
mm.
seems so. But it's like collating what it learned and saw and experienced throughout the day, and sometimes it's messy, and sometimes it's smooth. That's one thing that I read.
I love that.
One of my favorite books is Doomsday Book by Connie Willis. and it's all about death, but in it there's like this dream state that is like just as death is happening, and the main character is trying to figure it out. But what I really liked about it is that it's a lot of just like the body has all these processes it's going through just as you sleep, and just normal things like reminding you to breathe, like reminding
Hmm.
your stomach to keep moving, and your body is going through these processes, so almost as a way to keep you alive, your brain is still active and has to keep doing other things, and so it just accidentally also creates pictures for you because
Mm.
all of these other
Hmm.
things are still operating.
I had a dream in which I had a memory of a time when a friend of mine had visited and we had decided that we were going to try shooting up heroin.
Mm.
Okay.
And I woke up so like disturbed
Hmm.
and ashamed of the fact that I had tried heroin when my friend Greg came to visit, that it took me a really long time to like understand it, acknowledge like, no, that was just a dream. But it was like you said, the difficult distinction between dreams and memories. I dreamed that I remembered a thing, and then when I woke up, I was like, wait a minute, do I remember that?
That feeling when a dream like really rocks you, you're just like, oh, that one, they knew how to gut punch me. And who's the they? It's me.
I've lucid dreamed, and like there's definitely, I also feel like that's kind of when I get into the boring dreams, because the
Mm.
moment I can control the dream, I mostly just like, oh well, okay, well I guess let's just like walk around, let's see what there is, let's go talk to this guy. Like it just like suddenly becomes like the most boring Sims game you ever
Mm.
played, instead of like, oh now I can fly, because like there's this rational part of me is like, well, sure, I'm dreaming and I can probably fly, but can I fly? What are the
You
physics
can.
of this?
You
Um,
know, riding a dragon is great, but you know what's really great? It's just a quiet cup of tea.
just a quiet thing. But a dear friend of mine, she realized she was dreaming, and it's like one of the only times she was like, I can control my dream, and she was just able to take the reins. In the dream, she was in an airport, and she was like, I can do whatever I want. So she walked up to this woman and stole her baby. And then she just ran through the airport with this baby. And then she looked at this man and was like, I hate you, and just punched him just cuz. And then she threw the baby in the trash can because she didn't want to carry it anymore. And I was like, that's what you like. You could take control of your dream, and you're like, I'm going to steal this baby.
That's the kind of person you got to watch out for if they ever enact the purge.
Yeah, there are
You
certain
could
people
do
we cannot
anything, and that's
trust.
what you want to do, throw a baby in the trash and then punch an old man.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
It's
you
like,
could just do that in the real world. Like that's like I would if I figured out I could control my dream, I would immediately pull out a lightsaber and start doing tricks.
Mm.
it's like someone wins $1 billion in the lottery and they're like, you know what I'd really like is to visit Tucson. You can do that now. That's not that hard.
So I'm terrified of flying and always was. And before a flight, I used to just always have a nightmare. I was always in the cockpit of the plane, and it was sort of like I really felt you with that skyscraper turning upside down.
Mm.
It was like, okay, I'm in the plane, they're taking off, but it's like the plane won't get off the ground, and we keep having to dodge power lines and stuff, and it's terrible. So then
Mm.
I finally I went to a doctor and got some Valium to take before I got on airplanes. And now, before flights, I will have a dream that I'm at the airport and I've forgotten my Valium because
Wow.
that's the thing that I'm actually anxious about. Like, because I know that once you get that in there, there's nothing else to be anxious about. It's not possible to be
And
anxious once
you
you've
can
got that.
you can keep zooming out on that and you'll never get out of the pit of despair because it'll be like next you'll dream that they
Yes.
forgot to invent Valium.
Oh,
And then
Yeah.
next you'll dream that you were raised in the 1600s where there were no such drugs and it just nightmares just
Hmm.
compound upon
in the
themselves.
1600s, they had to take international flights without any Valium.
See, what a terrible time.
Horrible. But you know, you could go meet your friends at the gate, which is great. I missed
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Pre
Uh,
9/11.
you can leave your shoes on. I think a lot of the anxiety, bad dreams I have, I'm like in a car and I have to drive it somewhere. But for some reason, I'm suddenly in the back seat and I can't reach the steering wheel, but we're driving at top speed. And like then we're just heading over a railing, and now I am in the front seat again. And but there's no use for the steering wheel is useless because I'm headed into the ocean.
I have that driving from the back seat of the car dream sometimes, but I'm such a good driver that it's just not a problem.
It's not just like a little bit stressful.
That's fun. I get to show off. Hey, look what I can do.
Oh God, my physics test is today and I forgot to study. But wait, I'm the world's best guy at physics, so this is fine. This is a great dream.
I'm about to show everybody how good at physics I am. Wow.
And then I wake up feeling refreshed. It's gonna be a great day.
Mhm.
Good
Whenever
dream.
I have that dream that there was some clerical error and I don't actually have a high school diploma and I have to go back to high school, I wake up and I remember nothing about my life requires any credentials at all. Like if it turned out I didn't have a high school diploma, nothing would change.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason to be anxious about this.
hmm
Or true.
Some of my like apocalyptic nightmares are when you're just a lot of them are in space, but also a lot of them are I'm standing on the earth and the stars start like falling from the sky like you're just there and it's you're looking at the stars. Oh, how pretty. And then they just go somewhere
Whoa.
else. Anyway, space is scary. That's what I
Are you
got.
are you okay, Corinne?
No, space is just falling on her every night. It doesn't mean anything. Guys, come on.
Dude, what can you do? What do you do about that?
My wife shot awake asking, where's our baby? This was 4 years ago when there was a baby. He's like, she's right here. It's okay. She's like, no, the other one. Uh, I'm pretty sure we only have one, but then I wasn't. I suddenly being like woken up from a dead sleep. Like, wait a minute, do we have a second baby?
How long have I been asleep?
I would go to space, but I would need a lot of Valium.
Mm.
That would be way scarier than an airplane, I bet.
Do
Yeah.
you think they give astronauts Valium? Do you like
No, I don't think I think they don't let you become an astronaut if you're the kind of coward like me.
But what if you're like, what if it's so scary that they're like, hey, we know you're like brave, but here's a Valium.
I
They
mean,
don't give
they
him
might.
Valium, but they are hoarding all the remaining lewds, which I resent.
They give
Fucking
him
NASA.
they give him cyanide capsules, which I wouldn't want to accidentally. I now my anxiety is mistaking the cyanide capsule for the Valium.
Oh, wrong molar. I thought that one was calcium. Fuck. Oh no. Is that literally true, by the way, that they give them cyanide capsules? I thought that was just something from science fiction. Is that true?
No, I think it is because if they end up in a situation where it's like, okay, you're just stuck in this ship and you can't move it, so it's like either starve to death or run out of oxygen or take this. I'm pretty sure it's real.
I finally got around to watching The Martian the other night, and I was thinking if that guy had a cyanide capsule, that movie would be 15 minutes long.
I read the book and I sort of can't believe I finished the book. It was,
That's the one where he makes potatoes.
yeah.
Poop
Yeah.
potatoes, not just any potatoes.
Poop potatoes.
Yeah, well, I've heard that the movie departs from the book a lot because there's this whole scene where Jack Nicholson blows himself. It's just completely gratuitous.
I was also thinking about like dreams. Okay, well, the dream length thing, them being like these long epics, but only like a few minutes, a few seconds, who knows? And just like dreaming, I think dreaming is just like dreams go at the pace of your brain, and your brain is faster than actual life is. Like you're waiting in line, and imagine if you were dreaming, you just don't have to wait it anymore because you know what's going to happen there. And so that's how you can fit so much dream in such little time because it's just like beep, 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 until you reach the climax of your movie.
I had a dream in like 2003 when I was in college, and there was a TA in one of my classes whose name was Jabu, Jabu was his first name. I had a dream that I was at my grandma's house and we were watching the news, and they announced that everyone was about to die because the vengeful Hawaiian god Jabu had finally made good on his threat to fill the seas with honey, and it displaced all the water, and so there were these massive tidal waves just heading for every bit of dry land. And my grandma asked if I thought she had time to weed the garden before the waves showed up and we all died, and I said, yeah, but I don't really see the point of it. And she said, needs doing.
I think the real life version of that is you tell your grandma you have a friend named Jabu and she says something racist.
Maybe
I think
so.
that's probably.
Although that was my least racist grandma.
Oh, that's quite a title. She was
Mm.
crowned least
She won it
racist.
every year. It was real consistently. There would be some twisting off at the Christmas party that would cement the other one's position as.
Oh, the wine is open and they're neck and neck this year. You know that movie Yesterday about the dude
Yeah.
who wrote the Beatles songs because no one else has heard of the Beatles? I've actually never seen it, but I've had that dream years ago that I went back in time in a time machine in like 1961. But of course, in my dream, it's more deceit, not happenstance, where I deliberately go back in time to scoop the Beatles and fuck them over and write every Beatles song like a year in advance of when they wrote it, and I become a billionaire. I literally had that dream. And then that movie came out, and I refused to see it because I got so annoyed because they stole my premise from my dream.
You thought of it first.
I gotta tell you, this is some baby in the trash can stuff. So I had this recurring dream that I've had several times, both in and out of this journal, where I learned that Steven Tyler from Aerosmith is my real dad. And he
You
takes me,
you stole Liv Tyler's dream journal.
I did, he takes me to one of his weirdly modest suburban houses. It's not where he lives, but it's just a house he has somewhere nearby where he keeps a lot of really cool Star Wars stuff that he thinks I would like. And I always remember thinking like, oh yeah, that makes sense. He had a lot of money in the 80s. He would have bought a lot of Star Wars stuff when it was new. Every time I have that dream, I burn all my scarves.
Oh God, speaking of Steven Tyler, I saw this video of Aerosmith working in the studio. And what's the drummer's name? Is that Joey Kramer? I can't. I'm asking the
I
wrong
don't
people.
know.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
But they were working in the studio, and the drummer was overdubbing a drum part, and Steven Tyler was like singing into a mic, and the drummer had headphones on, and Steven Tyler is like um conducting him vocally as like how to play the drum part. So this fucking drummer is trying to lay down this part, and in his ear the whole time is Steven Tyler being like, and it's like I cannot believe none of these guys murdered him. Like 50 years in that band and he was not murdered.
Maybe they just have an agreement. They just wait till Steve goes home and then they re-record everything without him doing that.
Yeah,
And then we're just like, that's what you said to do. That was zippity zippity zap, right? And he's just like, I guess.
all right, well, I think that just about does it. Let's wrap it up. I'm Spencer Bainbridge, joined by.
Zack Johnson.
Claire Rice.
And Corinne Santoro.
This episode also featured Sara-Jean Bartky. Join us next time for Quicksand Club, uplifting comedy for a slowly sinking world.
I'll never look at Jack Nicholson the same way again.